They called themselves the Elderly Dominion, ancient, vast, and absolute. For 12,000 years, they ruled the stars with unchallenged supremacy. Hundreds of species bent the knee, some out of fear, others out of pragmatism. All who resisted were erased with surgical brutality. The galaxy became quiet, compliant, and cold. Then came humanity. To the elderly, humans were little more than a curiosity. Barely 5 centuries into faster-than-light travel, they lacked empire, lacked cohesion, and, most importantly, lacked fear. The Dominion found this last detail concerning. No species had ever challenged the hierarchy so directly, so openly, and with such unfiltered confidence. But confidence was not conquest. And so, when the Terran vessel Ambassador Dawn entered neutral space to attend peace talks at Selene Trinary, the Dominion sent a clear message. A single destroyer fired a pulse beam that disintegrated the Terran ship in a flash of ultraviolet brilliance. No warnings, no communications. 700 diplomats, scientists, and security personnel vaporized in an instant. Official justification? Terran noncompliance and unauthorized navigation. Earth did not respond with a declaration. No fleets launched. No ultimatums broadcast. For 72 hours, Earth was silent. Observers took that silence as surrender. Then a classified directive moved quietly through Earth's planetary defense net. It contained no rhetoric. Just a protocol name. Baba Yaga. The Empire's translators struggled. The term lacked clarity. The cultural references were archaic. Vague mentions of an Earth folklore entity, witch-like, vengeful, impossible to kill. Files pulled from Terran psychology archives painted an entity both mythical and feared by their own kind. On Day 4, a private transmission was received at the Dominion's outer Midway station. From Earth, translated into Trade Common. If you strike first, we will never stop. The message was signed only, for the dead. Analysts dismissed it. Typical Terran posturing. Symbolic, nothing strategic. The High Command moved on. Resources were reallocated toward suppressing rebellion in the Zarnathi fringe. Minor species always needed reminders. Earth would soon join their number. They did not notice the disappearance of DSV Nereus, a deep space Terran vessel equipped with darkwave stealth. It entered Dominion space without a trace. 48 hours later, the Kitharon beacon array, responsible for communications across 17 sectors, ceased operation. Dominion engineers found only fused circuits and 2 words etched into the wall of the control center. First blood. This was followed by a cascade of system failures across the outer rim. Starports suffered cascading grid collapses. Medical supply shipments were rerouted into suns. Artificial gravity in 13 capital-class cruisers reversed for 27 seconds, liquefying thousands. No casualties were claimed by Earth. No attribution offered. No denials made. Only silence. The Elderly Council convened in urgency for the first time in 3,000 cycles. Reports flowed in. Freighters vanished. Probes went dark. Sleeper cells activated across the edges of their empire, but not Dominion agents. These were Terran-trained operatives among alien civilians long thought subservient. The Empire had mistaken their silence for loyalty. It had not considered they were simply waiting. Every major galactic species had endured conquest. Earth was different. Earth had been born in fire and continued to evolve through it. Its history was a litany of violence and rebirth. Nuclear winters, global wars, genocide, revolution, and recovery, all part of the Terran cycle. Where the Elderly valued order and lineage, humans worshipped resilience. Dominion archives labeled humans as emotionally volatile, biologically inefficient, and internally fractured. The same files failed to grasp one crucial reality: Earth's fractures were not weaknesses. They were armor. No other species had survived its own extinction threshold and evolved strategy from it. The Dominion considered war a matter of honor. For humans, war was mathematics. Within 2 weeks, 5 Dominion listening posts disappeared. The only trace: frozen corpses in vacuum, eyes burned out, mouths filled with earth soil. No message, no broadcast. Just a chilling echo of psychological warfare, old as humanity itself. By week 3, fear began to bleed into policy. Civilians in border systems evacuated under whispers of shadows from the void. One such station reported seeing a human ship appear for precisely 6 seconds before every electrical system failed. When power returned, nothing remained, except a single word scrawled onto every screen, every terminal, every wall. Baba. Interrogations of local populations yielded no result. Nobody knew who or what this was. Yet fear spread faster than answers. Dominion AI networks began to flag the word as a psychological contagion. Thousands of minor systems were purged to suppress it. The purge backfired. Entire colonies fell into chaos as critical data vanished. A single Terran signal beamed across unregulated channels. You taught us silence. We learned. Now we speak without voices. Back on Earth, no celebrations took place. No media reports glorified the counterattack. No public announcements marked the shifting tide. War, for Terrans, was not a spectacle. It was survival. Earth had created the Baba Yaga protocol long before joining the interstellar stage. It was built on a simple truth. If ever an external force annihilated civilians without warning or diplomacy, retaliation would not be a matter of scale, but of permanence. Not until balance was restored, but until extinction or surrender. Dominion scientists reviewed Terran behavioral logs and warfare data. What they found shocked them. Humans did not merely engage in war. They adapted to it, evolved through it. Their most intelligent minds were often devoted not to culture or governance, but to conquest avoidance through escalation control. Every major technological leap, satellite systems, internet, artificial intelligence, had roots in defense industries. Where the elderly saw humans as inefficient, humans had simply grown used to being underestimated. It was their preferred position. Week 4. A Dominion fleet of 70 ships approached the Darlaxis mining region, recently rumored to be under Terran influence. Only 27 returned. Black box footage showed no Terran ship. Only sudden bursts of gravity wells, autonomous mines using predictive targeting, and digital hallucinations created by neural warfare suite. Commanders experienced false signals, orders from dead superiors, even visual overlays of ancient Earth battles. Most fatal was confusion. Dominion soldiers had never experienced doubt in combat. Earth weaponized it. One ship's AI, compromised mid-battle, ejected its own crew into space while singing a reconstructed 20th-century Earth anthem. Lyrics translated poorly, but the message was unmistakable. You wanted a war. You struck first. Now you pray we stop. The council met again. Panic simmered beneath their polished diplomacy. High Admiral Thyrek proposed escalation, a planet-side assault on Earth's outer colonies to provoke open engagement. Strategist Vura, an elder telepath, refused. She offered a single warning. The Dominion retaliated. Pride demanded it. They unleashed Fleet Hammerfall, 238 warships, 5 dreadnoughts, and the Sovereign-class flagship Ascendancy. Its mission: reach the Sol system, establish orbital dominance, and demand unconditional surrender. Failure was not an option. 3 hours into FTL transit, Hammerfall vanished from Galactic tracking systems. No explosion. No distress signals. Just silence. The Dominion assumed sabotage. 10 recovery fleets were dispatched. Only 2 returned. Both were missing crew members, possessed corrupted memory banks, and described anomalies inconsistent with known science. One officer spoke of seeing Earth appear mid-jump. Not a hologram. The actual planet, dragged from space-time into their path. His mind broke during the debrief. The Council attempted to suppress the incident. But the anomaly's gravitational shockwave had been recorded across 9 sectors. whispers spread. Myths crystallized. Earth, it was said, had mastered dimensional anchoring. That it no longer existed in real space, only where it chose to be. In truth, the truth was worse. Earth had not moved, but its defenders had evolved. Baba Yaga was not a person, not a fleet, not even a program. It was an awakening. Within Earth's defense network lay dormant protocols, unspoken doctrines, forbidden AIs restricted under global treaties for centuries. When Ambassador Dawn fell, the locks broke. Old codes activated. No vote was held. There was no consensus, only inevitability. The core of Baba Yaga was human memory and human rage. Not artificial, not rational, pure encoded vengeance. It knew every ship in Dominion history, every tactical pattern, every admiral's lineage and psychological profile. It didn't attack where they were weak. It attacked where they were certain. The reclamation of Mars was not conducted with fleets but silence. One by one, Dominion satellites malfunctioned. Their orbital stations reported oxygen saturation anomalies before implosion. By the time a task force arrived, Mars had gone dark. A Terran beacon pulsed from Olympus Mons. For words, now it's our turn. On Luna, Earth reawakened the black site complexes, deep bunkers carved into bedrock before the collapse. They released Project Harrow, biomechanical intelligences once deemed war crimes in waiting. Each was connected to an emotion-mapped neural lattice copied from trauma survivors. The Harrow engines did not just destroy. They interpreted. A Dominion scout team made planetfall on Ganymede, searching for Terran installations. They found none. What they did find was a single child, seated on the ice, alive in vacuum. Smiling. They approached. She opened her eyes and said, "Do you want to hear a story?" The scout team died 37 seconds later. Their corneas detached from their skulls. Autopsy showed forced memory injection. Images of Earth's global extinction drills, played in full sensory override. They died reliving humanity's own nightmares. The Dominion still refused to relent. They called for reinforcements from the interior world. High Lord Selleck declared a total mobilization decree. Every species under Dominion command was ordered to submit forces. Some obeyed. Others hesitated. One species, the Cryu, refused. Their reason: they had seen Terran kindness once, and that meant they had seen Terran wrath. The Dominion punished the Cryu with sterilization warhead. 4 billion dead. Earth responded in less than a day. A Dominion capital ship above Voltaris experienced a sudden spike in internal temperature. In 90 seconds, its reactor detonated. Surveillance captured the last words of its AI assistant, whispered in a Terran accent. "You showed us your god. Now meet ours." By week 8, Dominion logistical routes were in disarray. Hyperspace lanes collapsed due to precision gravity distortions. Some believed Terrans had created artificial singularities. In reality, they used old physics, very old physics, with impossible precision. Einstein's ghost wept from admiration. Dominion morale faltered. Their command structure was hierarchical, predictable. Terran attacks were not. They came from within, from behind, from dreams. Dominion crew began experiencing coordinated hallucinations. Entire bridge crews reported hearing lullabies in unknown tongues. One dreadnought vented its own oxygen supply during combat. Post-mortem review showed an untraceable signal loop repeating a single Terran phrase: "You cannot breathe where we bury you." The Elderly Council, once confident, now fractured. Arguments turned into duels. High minds broke under constant psychological invasion. Earth had not targeted their ship. Earth had targeted their stories. Dominion culture, once monolithic, began to splinter. Subordinate species remembered their own scars. Terran operatives seeded ancient songs of resistance. Forbidden languages re-emerged. Dominance faltered not by war, but by truth. On the Galactic net, a video appeared, origin unknown. It showed a Dominion extermination order from 2 centuries prior. An entire planet erased for resource efficiency. Children, elders, unarmed scientists. At the end of the footage, Terran soldiers held a memorial in silence. No speech. Just names read. For 4 hours. The caption said, "You taught us what not to forget." Dominion counterintelligence blamed internal leak. But they knew. Earth had everything. Because Earth never threw anything away. Not hatred. Not hope. Not history. Dominion soldiers began defecting. Not en masse, but in silence. A shuttle would not return. A commander would disappear. Some sought asylum. Others simply laid down arms and waited for the end. They did not wait long. Earth launched its first official offensive at Teldros, a fortified trade hub of strategic importance. They used no kinetic weapons, no laser strikes. Instead, they dropped memory spores, microscopic data clusters carried on solar wind. Every civilian and soldier infected received a single shared dream. A Terran child hiding in a bunker, counting the seconds between impact tremors. When Teldros woke, its citizens surrendered. Unarmed. Tearful. Dominion propaganda labeled it treason. Executions followed. Earth leaked the executions live across the galaxy. But not the footage. Only the names. Spoken by other defectors. Each name was followed by a statement, "We will remember you." A symbol emerged, unofficial, unauthorized, a stylized skull wearing an old Earth astronaut helmet. Underneath, "We strike last." The Dominion realized too late that their war machine could not defeat a story. That their weapons could not erase memory. Earth had become legend before it became victory. The first Dominion core world fell without a shot. Its command center woke to find their planetary defense AI replaced. It answered only to Earth's voice. When asked how this happened, it replied, "You lost the moment you struck first." More worlds followed. Some rebelled. Some collapsed. A few tried to bargain. Earth answered none of them. Not because they could not, but because they no longer had to. Even the elderly homeworld, long hidden behind temporal folds and quantum cloaks, became visible one morning. Its sky lit with strange auroras, colors no Dominion I had ever seen. Then came the voice. One voice. Human. Quiet. Male. Tired. He said only, "I am the son of a woman you burned." The auroras vanished. That night, the core spire of the elderly capital melted into sand. No attack detected. No ship traced. The event was classified as divine. Terran silence became its own presence. A memory no species could ignore. Because every advanced system, every AI core, every network now included Earth's protocols. Not malware. Not control. But understanding. Files opened at random. Logs of Earth's extinction-level climate trials. Videos of forgotten genocides humans once inflicted on themselves. Diaries of survivors from nations wiped out by atomic war. The galaxy learned. Not from heroes, but from horror. Young officers on distant stations found themselves dreaming of oceans. Not their own, but Earth. Sometimes dead. Sometimes healing. Sometimes just still. Psychiatrists coined a term for it, Terran echo syndrome. A psychological imprint where individuals internalized fragments of human pain. But with that came something stranger, empathy. Because Earth did not just embed memories of loss. It embedded memories of resistance. Images of farmers holding lines against orbital bombardment. Of teachers raising children underground. Of humans, unarmed, holding hands as the sky burned. The Terran legacy was not technological. It was emotional, and it changed everything. On the edges of known space, minor species once subjugated by the Dominion began to stir. They didn't declare independence. They simply stopped answering calls. When Dominion loyalists sent fleets, they found hangars empty, AI cores silent, populations missing. Not dead. Not fleeing. Gone. Rumors spread that Earth had taught them how to vanish. The Dominion tried to rebuild. But the hierarchy was gone. Commanders feared issuing orders. Not because of Earth, but because of what Earth had made their soldiers see. Executions were met with mutiny. Fear turned inward. Some attempted to form a counter-alliance. Old enemies shaking hands under banners of desperation. But each summit collapsed under the same question: what if they're watching? Because nobody knew how Earth listened. Only that it did. Diplomatic delegations sent to Sol received no answer. Probes reached the solar edge and froze. Not from weapons, from choice. Their own navigation systems simply stopped moving. Turned back. It was as if the stars themselves whispered, "Not yet." One species, the Kirill, dared to break the quiet. Not with weapons but with tribute. They launched an archive, an offering of every atrocity they had committed as part of the Dominion. Confessions, names, evidence. Earth responded with a single message. Good. Now teach them never again. The Kirill obeyed. They dismantled their war academies and turned them into museums. Their weapon designers became trauma counselors. Soldiers became translators. A generation of killers rebranded as preservers, not because Earth demanded it, but because Earth had shown them what awaited if they didn't. Another species, the Vra, attempted subversion. They believed the Terran silence was weakness. They sent infiltration cells into human space, cloaked in mimicry. None returned. Years later, a Vra merchant received a message. An audio recording of one of the lost agents. She was laughing. But it wasn't madness. It was relief. They didn't kill me, she said. They showed me my mother's eyes. Eyes I never saw, because the Dominion took her before I was born. Her voice cracked. They found her face, matched her genes, recreated her smile. Let me sit in silence next to it. I broke. Then I healed. Now I understand. We were the monsters. And they remember. The Vra closed their infiltration programs. Academic institutions across the galaxy added mandatory Terran history to their curriculum. Not glorified, not sanitized. The raw, unfiltered truth of a species that destroyed itself 1,000 times before learning to rise differently. Children studied Earth not to fear it, but to learn from its burns. Meanwhile, Earth itself transformed. Humanity, no longer threatened, began to rebuild. But not as before. Cities were smaller, cleaner. Every new structure bore inscriptions of old names. Not of heroes, but of victims. Streets named after refugees. Libraries named after civilians. Starships named after failures. Their technology surpassed anything seen in galactic history. But it was rarely shared. Not out of spite. Out of understanding. Humans gave only what others were ready to bear. Weapons were never exported. Only tools. Medical nanites. Agricultural accelerators. Quantum translators. And even these came with warnings, not encrypted. Just honest. This saved us. But it nearly destroyed us. Use it like it cost lives. Because it did. Other species began visiting Earth. Not for alliance, but for silence. Pilgrimages. To touch the soil. To feel the air. To listen to the world that once screamed and now simply breathed. Some left changed. A high priest of the Delari stepped onto Terran ground, declared his faith obsolete, and returned to write a new scripture based on Earth's refusal to ascend. He called it the Gospel of Endurance. The Council of Eight, once the pinnacle of Dominion power, officially disbanded. Its archives were opened. Within, records showed that Earth had been marked as a non-viable culture 3 centuries prior. The extermination was long planned. The revelation sparked a galactic reckoning. Not against Earth. Against the arrogance that tried to end it. Memorials appeared across space. Not all sanctioned. A moon in the Celari system was painted with Earth's first radio signals. An asteroid belt near the Azarn Verge was carved with Terran poetry. In the Orlac Nebula, a single beacon pulses Morse code endlessly. We are still here. Humanity spoke less now. Their ambassadors were few. Their fleets remained hidden. But the absence was not fear. It was discipline. the galaxy came to understand. Earth had mastered restraint not because it was weak, but because it knew exactly what it was capable of. Peace, for the first time in galactic history, was not enforced. It was respected. Those who broke it did not vanish. They were not attacked. They simply found their systems flooded with Terran data. Not threats, but loss. Stories of orphans, of broken fathers, of genocides remembered in detail. One species, the Adaran, ignored the warnings. They began rebuilding weapon platforms, preparing for future conflict. Their young began dreaming of Earth. Their elders forgot their own tongue and spoke English. Their computers wrote Terran poetry unprompted. And then the stars above their home system flickered for 1 minute and 17 seconds. No ship, no energy spike, just the sky dimmed. After that, the Adaran dismantled their weapons. Voluntarily. Earth said nothing. It didn't need to. Because now, when wars threatened to rise elsewhere, species asked, what would Earth do? Not as a tactic. As a consequence. Generations passed. The name Baba Yaga faded from military reports and returned to myth. But myth, in the galaxy, was more powerful than law. Children told stories of a planet that could make stars cry. Elders whispered about the humans who burned their past to build a better silence. And somewhere, deep in the ruins of a Dominion archive, a small Terran file sat undisturbed. Its name, If You Strike First. Its contents? Nothing but names. Billions of names. Every victim. Every loss. Every forgotten voice that had once begged the stars for justice. And at the very end, one line. We never stop. We never will. Until there's no one left who remembers how to hurt.